Okay, you are listening to the Mental Money Podcast. This is your host, Nathalie. Thank you for joining us again. If you're coming back, and if this is your first time here, then that's really unfortunate because you missed a lot. Okay. Today we have with us Jolena Stewart of Love Energy Nature. I wanted to start interviewing community members and like just people who I engage with that are dope business owners because I wanted to put a spotlight on the business owners themselves, right? So before I let you say anything, Jolena, I just need to know, well, I just need everyone to know, Jolena, before she tells you that she does skincare, before she lies to you and tells you that she does skincare products, right? Let me tell you what she really does, right? She's in that kitchen whipping that work, okay? I have an aunt who has arthritis in her shoulder, like terrible, terrible arthritis in her shoulder, is getting steroid shots. Bad. Okay. I sent her one of Jolena's potions, aka Avo cream. You laughing? Okay. And that woman is putting it on her shoulder every night, scraping that jar, trying to get some. Hi, Jolena. How are you, my dear? I don't know what you're
Great
thinking,
with the
Nessa.
introduction like that.
Listen, when I tell you I ran, because I'm about to start sharing it on TikTok, and when I tell you I ran to that store to get three because I know you about to sell out, I was like, let me go ahead and get mine before you don't have any more. Okay. Hi, Jolena.
Sorry. Hi. Thank you for that. I
Anytime.
appreciate that a lot.
Anytime. Anytime. And like I'm low-key scared to try your other products because if that cream is that good, what you gonna do to my whole life? Are you gonna clean my credit? Are you gonna cook my is your soap gonna cook my meals? Like what's next? I'm just ready to have my whole life snatched by your product line because at this point, if the cream let me tell you something. I'm ready to do my daughter's hair with that cream. Okay, that's what I'm about to do. Because you
Yes,
playing.
ma'am.
But anyway, yes, your products are great. I
Thank
don't
you.
share products I don't believe in or I don't use myself or I don't know people who use. And I had my aunt try it and she's like a disciple, like literally telling everyone, like, oh my gosh, let me try this. And then Nolita, after I told her about it, became a disciple too. So it works. The stuff works, period. So hi, Jolena. Please tell us how you started Love Energy Nature. How did you get to creating crack in your kitchen?
Um, Really, it started because I had a dire need.
Okay.
Um, my It started when my first daughter was born.
Okay.
And she was this perfect, tiny little chubby monster. And I thought I did the best job ever with that one. Like nobody couldn't take that away from me.
Of course.
And then literally a few weeks into life, I mean, 3, 4 weeks, I started seeing these patches all over her.
Mm,
And I've had eczema my entire life. So it's gonna sound really weird to say, but I smelt it. And I was like, I know that smell. Yeah,
interesting.
I know this smell. Nobody else might, know what I'm talking about, but there's a smell to it.
Okay.
And so I went to her pediatrician, and the doctor was like, "Oh, that's normal. That's baby eczema."
Mm,
And I was like, "No, because I'm an adult. I've had it my whole life. And typically with eczema, they say you're supposed to grow out of it. And I
right.
know I didn't grow out of it. And I know my older brother didn't grow out of it. So I was just like, I need to be hyper vigilant about this from the beginning because I don't want her going down the same road that I've been down.
Right.
And this journey was so interesting because um, for me as a mother, you start to realize all of the standards for your child that you have that you're not upholding for yourself.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So it was just really interesting. So with her, they wanted to do all these things and all these medications, and I'm like, no, she's a little thing. Like I'm not, So I tried to do the all natural route. What they tell you, the oatmeal in the bath, and try to use olive oil on their skin and things like that, and it wasn't helping. So
Mm,
I started just making little things, mixing little things here and there, you know, whether it was like a shea butter with a little bit of coconut oil or something, you know, just testing and teasing things out to see what would help. And that's how that started.
Okay.
And I saw a lot of improvements with her over time. But really, I found a passion. It was fun for me to sort of like tinker. I've never been a creative person. I've always been like a very type A Capricorn. Like I'm down to business. It's homework and more reading and things like that. It's never been like, oh, I'm going to go draw because I feel like it. So
Right.
that was my first like foray into creative expression. So I have fun. And I started like, okay, I'm gonna buy this, you know, 10 pounds of shea butter. What else can I do with it besides make these body butters? Oh, I can make lip balm with just one more ingredient. Oh, I
Mm.
can make lotion if I bought these two more ingredients. Oh, I can make soap with this extra. So it was like really, it started with shea butter. And then sort of figuring out how I can turn this one natural product into a few different other products. And then once I had those different products, sort of enhancing it, like, okay, this is great, but it's really greasy. I
Yeah.
don't want grease on my clothes. I hate greasy skin. I don't want greasy sheets. Maybe I can turn this into a lotion. So I just started dipping and dabbing. And around that time, I started realizing that my topical steroids, because all the while I'm doing all this natural stuff for her and I'm not paying myself any mind, right? My skin is going down the drain. Like it was terrible. And the medication that they had given me, I was on this steady rotation of medication that wasn't working. It's like, okay, let's go to the next one. That's still not working. The next one, and that's still not working. What's going on? So I was like, okay, all of these harsh medicines that I'm putting in my body. I tried a new doctor and she was like, do you know that this is not made for long-term use, these topical steroids? And I was like, well, yeah, but that's what they keep giving me. This is what I have. What am I supposed to do? I don't know what else to do.
Right.
And so I made the decision to come off of topical steroids, and I didn't know what I was going to put my body through. I went through topical steroid withdrawal, which is literally like your system going into shock because it's been dependent on this thing. It hasn't operated without it for decades. So clothes hurt, like clothes, the lightest clothing hurt. My skin burned 24/7. My entire body from my scalp to literally under my feet was inflamed. I could not take it. Like I didn't know what to do. My doctor saw me virtually because this was the beginning of COVID. And on site, she wrote me out 2 months of work. And then I went to see her the next day because it was that severe that she was like, forget COVID, I got to see you. So the next day, she added another 2 months on site. Like it was devastating.
Mhm.
My body was complete and utter devastation. And it was really not just physically harmful, but mentally and emotionally harmful.
Mhm.
If you can imagine, one, I stopped being able to work. Just taking care of myself was more difficult. Taking care of my children was more difficult. It had become debilitating to my life.
Right.
But in a weird way, it's like, you know, you got to hit rock bottom before you can go move up.
Exactly.
And that time away, that time off puts so many things into perspective. I've always been like a healthy, conscious eater, but I became even more conscious.
Mhm.
I started looking at everything like medicine. This is either going to be a poison or a potion. It's going to help me or it's going to hurt me.
Right.
And so I started reading every label, whether it was skincare, hair care, food. I started making sure that I was aware of what I was doing and leading my life with so much more intention than I was. And those products that I made for my daughter, they became my saving grace.
That's why.
And I really started to use my skincare as a form of self-care. Like I had to baby myself back to health. Like I had to like gently, I couldn't just rub, you know, how you just
Yeah.
lotion your face
Yeah.
all aggressive. I couldn't do that anymore. I had to really just like gently rub every little, because I couldn't handle anything rough. I had to baby myself. I had to baby my babies. I had to do things I didn't do before. And and I think because my condition was so severe, that's why I put so much thought and emphasis and intention behind my products.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people, they'll say, okay, I want to make an herbal product. I want to make something. You go to the store and you buy the herbs. I said, no, that's not good enough. I'm not just
Mm-hmm.
going to grow the herbs. I'm going to grow the herbs sustainably. I'm going to make sure that there's no chemicals in the growth process, right? So when you buy from a regular farm, or you have no idea where it's coming from because you've gone to the health food market and you just bought some herbs, you don't know what kind of fertilizers they're putting on it. You
Right.
don't know what type of pesticides or herbicides or what chemicals they're treating it to boost the growth rate. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know if it's genetically modified. You don't know anything about its life before it went
It's
to your
true.
hands.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I learned more about that because I used essential oils, and it's so important to know the history of those oils because that's the most like potent essence of the plant. So if that's been polluted by ingredients and you're, inhale, and a lot of those molecules, they're small enough to break the blood-brain barrier. So that's going right from your nose to your brain. What chemicals are you putting directly into your brain, ma'am? So all of these things that people don't think about, I had to think about
Right.
because I was so sensitive and I didn't want to do anything else to hurt my body or my children.
Right.
So yeah, that's where it started, and it just sort of evolved from there. And like I said, it was a passion. I got really deep into it, and I wanted to control the whole system. I wanted to grow it and love on it and talk to it and then use that in my products and make sure anything that I couldn't make myself was coming from not just a reputable source, but an organization that I can stand by.
Yeah.
A place that was operating with integrity and with the same level of thoughtfulness that I operate with, someone that I could feel comfortable partnering with. And I actually met most of my vendors. Like I met them in person and I learned about their businesses. And
Mm-hmm.
that passion, it went out of control and I was making more than I could use. And so I gave most of it to my dad. I would just like fill up a bag and hand it to him. And then the first couple times I did it, I thought nothing of it. I was just trying to offload some of the stuff so I had more room to make product. But then he was like, okay, you made a blue soap, and then you had this lotion, it smelled like flowers, and then you had this other thing, I don't know what it was, but I liked that. And I was like, I don't know, I just made some stuff. And he's like, well, you need to make more stuff because my cousin wants this thing and my sister wants this thing and my friend and I was like, what are you talking about?
You got a business on your hand there, buddy.
And that's exactly what he told me. He was just like, I'm sorry to break it to you, but you have business. So now you need packaging, you need labels, you need names for these products because I can't just keep saying the blue soap. And so I was like, okay, no problem. So I went and I found
Shout out to Mr.
packaging.
Stewart. Okay.
Right. Yes, he laid it out on the line and he was like, "Oh, this is what you got to do. Do this first, do that first." And I went to work and now, a few years later, here we are.
So, okay, first of all, I want to say on record, I can feel that your products are made with intention. Like there's just no way that and I guess there is a way, but I've used natural products before. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? Like I've used
Yeah.
natural products before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Mhm.
So I feel that. Like I truly do feel that. That's one. But two, there's it's only so much passion that can go into a business, and I'm sure you quickly learn that, right? So you're passionate about this thing now, right? Life kind of forced your hand where you had this tower moment and you're on your back, quite literally, and your life in 4 months is nothing like what it looked like before. And
Mm-hmm.
you now are forced to turn this passion into a business, and businesses
Right.
have to make money. You have to make money. What's
Right.
Walk me through what it's like to be a first-time founder at that point, having never had a business before.
Um, it was for me, and I say this with no shame. I'm a book whore. So it was an opportunity for me
Yeah.
to fall down a rabbit hole. It was like, okay, how do I do this? Like I love information. And so it was exciting. It was exciting to see how I could turn this into something. It was exciting to see the process. It was fun to learn, like, okay, where do I go to sell this thing?
Mm-hmm.
How do I go down this road? What do I need? How do I do this? How are these different events set up, and what does this look like? And looking back on it, I really do feel like, when you set your mind to something in a very spiritual way, it becomes manifest just because of your intention. Like the way I would literally say, I need to find an event, and then someone would be like, oh, I have a friend who's hosting an event, and I'd be like, really? So
Oh,
it
how
was, it was,
coincidental.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
It was so, the path was laid in front of me, and all I had to do was walk it.
Mm,
Um, there were a lot of times, especially once I left my job officially, um, it was very, very scary
mm,
because I have children. I never wanted to be the parent who had to tell their child, no, we can't afford this right now.
mm,
Or to, and food is one of the few things that I spare no expense on, and to have to sit there and be like, okay, well, we can't get this ice cream. How about we just not get ice cream this week? Little things like that. That was really heartbreaking for me. Because I was living in such instability and not knowing how to build a business, um, especially as a minority business owner. We already know how much harder it is for us to get funding, but then to be on the side of that and to look at how that becomes manifest, right? Like I've always been the person in my family with money, right? Like I was always the one that people could go to borrow money. I was always the bank, and then to not be that anymore was like losing a part of my identity.
mm.
So it is a huge adjustment because there's good times and there's bad times.
Very, yeah.
Um, so it's very interesting trying to navigate this world that's um, not made for our success, and knowing what I have and still knowing that it doesn't make it any easier.
Right.
Knowing that I have something that actually works, and there are people who, for whatever reason, don't care half as much, don't try half as hard, don't put
Mhm.
half as much thought or effort into it, and it comes to them so easily.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's been an interesting experience for sure. But I will say that um, it's given me so much perspective. It's reminded me about what's important because I might not have had a lot of luxuries over this journey thus far, but I've had everything that I've needed.
Right.
I have not yet gone without something that I needed.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, there's that.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I know you know that we know. We could talk for hours. So
Right.
I'm just taking it all in. Like, yeah, I know this, but it's cool because I love to hear it again. um, so I'm happy that you're saying that because it kind of just drills down the point that there really is no security. Like security is an illusion, right? It's the biggest.
I'm gonna push back on that
Please.
just because I feel like our ability to realize a reality is really based on our imagination. And I think the more that we see, the more that we explore, the more that we understand, our ability to imagine evolves. And so I'm living in the reality that I manifested yesterday.
Right.
Tomorrow is going to be an improvement on today and a bigger improvement on yesterday.
Right.
So I don't feel like, I do feel like security is attainable. I do feel like there is a level that we will reach where there's no more questioning, where there's no more, checking your bank account before you swipe the card. But we've only been able, we're only where we at. Like we're
Yeah.
not there yet.
I want to push back on that too, because I've had what some people would say is security for a while, right? And that fear, that lingering fear, has to be maintained at all time, and maybe even drives you and motivates you to kind of keep that checks and balances system, to not ever want to go
Yeah.
back to that place. You know what I'm saying? And I hear celebrities say it all the time. When I do, it kind of is almost like confirmation and validation for me, that it's just like, oh wait, no, you're afraid of that too. You have millions and way more money than I do, right? And you're still scared,
Right.
right? And I feel like every
Right.
new level is going to bring that. But I mean, even where we are now, right? I feel like when I'm speaking about security, I'm speaking about it from the standpoint of, you may have a job and you may lean on that job, but tomorrow that job may be gone. We see AI replacing
Right.
us every other day, right? We see
Right.
regulation replacing us every other day. We see us having to pivot in every market in like all the time, right? So that's why I mean security is an illusion. I get your point though, but the only thing you can bet on, really, the one security that you should have, is your ability to pivot, for real.
And I think really that is the security. It's not, it was just I don't remember what book I read it in, but that really just sort of shifted my understanding, right? It's not that bad things don't happen, right?
Right.
It's not that you can control anything, but you can trust your ability to navigate that storm, right? You can trust that you have everything that you need in order to make it to the other side stronger, wiser, more capable than before. So yeah, of course, there's going to be changes in the market. There's going to be even changes in our financial status, for better or for worse. But it's sort of like, if you've ever heard, and I've heard so many like millionaires do talk about this, right? They can lose their money tomorrow. And most of them are pretty secure that they can get it back, because it's a mentality, right? It's
Right.
like, you know how to do those things again. You
Yeah.
know the steps to take. It's a formula that you can repeat.
Right.
So I really think that the longevity doesn't come from having the security of something that never changes. The longevity comes from being able to make those changes and survive without having it incapacitate you or make you feel like I'll never get it back. It's the mentality of the people who go to make a second and third and $4th million business versus the person who kills themselves because they lost money in the market.
One. Right. And I think we're saying the same thing. And this is, so when I first, I move with intention too. When I first decided to
Mm-hmm.
start the podcast, because I don't need the internet to be on here for no reason. Okay. You know how I feel about that.
Right.
So
Right.
I noticed how, like, all the things that we talked about as far as security is concerned are external factors, and then the one thing that you mentioned was the internal one, which is the point of mental money, because it's the mentality, right? Like, you
Yeah.
lose it, you get it again, but it's like, because you know how to do it, because you know how to pivot. But the thing is, people use, if these were KPIs, every KPI used to measure security is external. There are very little metrics that people use to determine what is an internal sense of security. We don't spend time doing that, which is low-key why I love our community, because it's just like, all right, cool. This week my ADHD is acting up, but I know I have somewhere safe to land. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah,
Cool.
exactly.
Right.
And I think it's so important for us to have spaces like our community, because how else do you survive?
You don't. The
That
video
part.
the video you sent me about Kim earlier this week. You don't. You go in, you get checked into hospitals.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
nothing, there's nothing wrong with getting put in the hospital. There's nothing wrong with getting put on medication. Take what you need. But that's the byproduct of it being unchecked and unserved, right? So yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we kind of went left. But yeah, no,
No, not at all. I think it's right. It's right on point for a reason. It needed to be said. And I think that we've spoken about this, but right now, this chapter of my life is titled Rest, and I am resistant.
yeah.
But you know, from inception, I had this understanding that I would never be able to walk in success until I learned how to do it sustainably. Because there is no point of going somewhere if you can't enjoy it.
And that's what all three of those
You
things
know,
taught us.
oh yeah, it's just it is a constant reminder, but I've seen
Yeah.
it so often. I see it in, friends who are working themselves to the bone. I saw it in myself. I and it's almost with a level of pride. It's a weird level of pride, but also like a shock. But I worked while in labor. Like I was in labor at work, and I was like, well, I'm gonna be in labor for a while, so I might as well suck it out, get these little extra coins, because I don't know I'll be out of work for the next few months. Yeah. And then I went home, and then I went to the hospital. And this is what we do. We work. We don't think twice about it. It's this limited mindset of thinking that there's not enough and there's always more to do. And it's manifested in so many different things that we do. And it's so unrealistic when you say it out loud.
Yeah, because
But in the moment,
yeah,
that's what you
you really
do.
think you can do this, right? Yeah. Mm,
Yeah. But the thing is, we do it. It's not even think we do it.
yeah.
I've seen friends work with, walk on sprained ankles and all types of internal issues that come into work. COVID was a life changer because people stopped going to work when they were sick. But before that, you went to work. You had a fever, you had a cold, you had a whatever. You still had to show up.
Yeah.
And this is just the way that we people. I've seen friends, coworkers who had family deaths, and they still decided to go into work.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it is in other cultures, but I know that that is heavy within ours.
Yeah.
And it needs to stop. And I think that we need to check each other more and let each other know, like, you will survive if you take a break. It will be okay. Sit down.
And that's
Rest is productive.
rest is product. And that's why I'm telling you, like, that's why our community is so important to me. Because Sharita is, I couldn't get that from you. I couldn't get that from Nolita. I couldn't get that from AJ. I had to get that from Sharita. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like that had to come from Sharita.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So she's so strict on her boundaries around rest. Like I had
Yeah.
to see that. I had to see that exemplified, right? I had to see that in action. She's like, "Oh no, I'm
Mm-hmm.
about to go take a nap, y'all. I'm out. And I'm like, huh,
Right. Right.
okay.
Yeah.
There's naps.
It's
We can do that. There's naps here. That's allowed. Okay, cool.
but you know what's funny? I think that we all know it and understand it in concept, but she's the one who understands it in execution.
Perfect and flawless execution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. She is vital. Like we we need to keep her safe
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, and it's things like that. It's things like that, and also just moving into this entrepreneur space where now that you're understanding, I feel like you're getting that now, but you didn't understand that before, and now that you're understanding that, are you seeing the fruits of it? Like, because I know at the end of the day, we still live in this system where we do have to produce. So how are you balancing that rest and productivity as far as like being able to be profitable and produce enough for you to sustain a life and a living? Because that's still necessary.
So I think that there's levels to it, and it's something that I've been sort of playing with for the past few years, and definitely like while I was on topical steroid, like when I was going through my topical steroid withdrawal, because I couldn't do much, right? And I still found time to work, but
Right.
then it was like it just in my head, I'm still working towards my healing, right? But another part of that healing is rest.
Right.
For me, it's a double-edged sword because just like you said, we are in a society that requires us to be productive, right, for our survival. Um, at the same time, for our survival, we need to rest. So I think that for me, I really lean into my emotional space.
Mm,
Um, where am I when I feel like my patience, because I'm a very patient person. Like I have untold levels of patience. When my patience is dwindling, I have to tap out
yeah.
because the last thing I need to do is operate outside of my identity because
Right.
this is not who I am.
Right.
This is, you know, a person who's operating on their limits, and you never know what that kind of person is capable of, right?
Mm,
So it's another thing, another layer of that is support. And I look at parenthood as partnership, and I know a lot of people have different ideas about it, but my children will look at me and be like, Mommy, you're tired. You need a nap. Do you need me to lay down with you? I would be like, yes.
yeah. Actually.
Yeah. So having even support in that small way, right? Like my kids are not gonna pay my bills, but they're gonna recognize when I need help.
Yeah.
I was highly irritated today. Okay. I needed a moment. I went and took a shower. I locked the door and I sat there and I tried to find my peace. And I heard that little doorknob jingle. And I was like, I remembered to lock it. Do you think it mattered? My children know how to pick locks.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course they do. Of course.
So my little one comes in and she has my allergy medicine and a glass of water. And I said, Ma'am, why did you open the door? And she said, I heard you sneeze. Right.
You're not, I'm not,
Right.
Jolena. No, not, you see, you, I gotta watch you. I'm not playing with you today. I'm not playing with you today. You're not gonna make me cry on my own podcast. You see, you do it to me in group. You do it to me every Friday, damn near every Friday. You do it to me all the time. You're not gonna make me cry on my own podcast. I'm not letting you do this to me.
It's not
That
my
is the
intention.
sweetest thing
I
ever.
kid you not. This was literally maybe 3 hours ago. True story. Okay. So even in my moments of reflection and being like, I need to step away. As a parent, you really can't. Like, there's no escaping. But there's so much beauty in that. And
Yeah.
I don't like, there's that realization, right? It's like people who hate the rain, but then it's feeding those plants. It's feeding those plants. And so that's sort of how I look at it. It's a balance. It's understanding, yes, I have to produce, but I'm producing something that I love
Mm-hmm.
for people that I love, for
Yeah.
people who I grow to love. Like, I have so many customers that have become friends. I have friends that became customers. I have people whose lives I've impacted for the better. And so I think that is really how I balance it. If I wasn't operating within this space and it was a job that had no future and a boss that didn't appreciate me and catty coworkers, I would not be in the same space.
Yeah.
But because of how I'm doing it, I'm invested and I'm interested. I'm interested in growing it. I'm interested in doing it better. I'm interested in how I can serve more. I'm interested in feeding my kids.
Period.
I'm interested. Yeah, it's like, okay, your birthday is coming up and I want to take you somewhere. So I'm going to get out here and I'm going to do this and I'm going to show what I do despite my, insecurities or lack of desire to be present on social media, or what I'm pushing myself because of everything that I love that will thrive because I'm pushing myself.
Right.
But again, there's the balance of not pushing myself too far, because I don't talk to my children crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Like our
So
kids on this
I
side. Yeah.
can't push myself too hard because they're watching me, they're learning from me,
Right.
and I'm building. I claim it now. I'm not going to be one of those parents who end up in a home.
Mm.
My home is with my children,
Right.
period,
Right.
forever and always.
In
We're
community.
building lifelong relationships where it's loving and it's attentive and it's helpful. And even when you think you need space, you need this medicine more. I got you. So there's so many checks and balances in my day and in my life that prevent me from going too far.
Yeah.
Um, that I find time to rest. I don't have a choice all the time because my body will shut down. I will sit down and I'll fall asleep. That is nap time.
It's not time.
It's,
Yeah. No, it's not
yeah,
time.
it's nap time. Like I said, my body will it lets me know by taking control.
Yeah.
And I will, I'll sit down thinking I'm gonna write out a grant application. Nope, you're going to bed
Yeah.
because you did too much today.
Yeah.
And that's life. So yeah, that's I don't know if I answered that.
Oh no, you did, girl. Girl, you did. Listen, okay. What's your ultimate vision and mission for Love Energy Nature?
My vision is reality. My vision and mission is to help people, families that look like me, moms that are taking care of kids with all types of skin issues, that want to be mindful of what they're putting in their kids' bodies, who don't want to participate in this system of not acknowledging the humans that are on the receiving ends of these products that they concoct.
Mm,
My intention is because we bear the brunt of the consequences of those chemicals that they're putting in all of the things that we consume.
yeah.
Um, so my intention is to support the BIPOC population, specifically via skincare, um, to put as much love as possible in my products so that when you are nourishing your skin, whether it's through the soap or the lotions or the deodorant, you're loving on your body.
Yeah.
You're receiving that energy of I'm feeding you because I
Mhm.
care about you. because we're in a partnership. We have things to do, and in order for us to do it properly and effectively and to keep going, I'm going to treat you right.
Right.
And I'm gonna rub on you, and I'm gonna kiss on you, and I'm gonna hug on you, and I'm gonna do that to my babies. I'm gonna do it to myself. I'm gonna do it to all my loved ones. So yeah, it's a mission of love.
I love that. Okay, well, listen, y'all, go shop Love Energy Nature. My order's on the way. Okay, like I said, y'all can play if y'all want to. Because once I share on the TikTok shop, I don't know what to tell y'all. I got 3 just to keep a little stockpile, just in case, because I already know. Okay, all right, you've been warned. Great. All right, thank you, Jolena. I really appreciate you. You, of course, like per usual, we can speak for hours, and I know that once you get in the right spaces, once you get in the right, well, you already are, but once you continue to keep doing this good work that you are in position to thrive. Like your story has already been amazing. So all I see is good things for you. I'm excited about where your story is gonna go.
I'm excited for us because we're both going places.
Yeah.
I think that this is I've claimed it as a lifelong friendship. I
Oh,
told you
yeah.
from like the second time we spoke, I said, that's my friend. She don't know it yet, but
Yeah,
that's
no, we
my
locked
friend.
in. We locked in. You ain't going nowhere. We're fine. Yeah, you're stuck with me now. It's pretty much done. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Yeah. So I'm excited for not just where this journey takes us, but the beautiful things that we're able to manifest along the way for others, with others. The tide that we bring in that raises all these ships.
Oh my gosh,
That's my prayer.
chills hearing that, because I'm gonna tell you why later. But yes, oh my gosh, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You're
And
right.
so it is.
It's such a great
Period.
analogy. Yes, and so it is. All right. On that note, thank you so much, Jolena.
My pleasure.